What's up, party people? Party people. So you want to get funky? I'm not going to sing today. Don't you worry about that. Listen, how are you guys doing? You guys doing all right? What a crazy week, right? Ooh, it's so many things I want to say, but I'm not going to say it. You're not going to get me in trouble. Mm-mm. All I can tell you is be careful what you say. God don't like ugly. Enough said about that. But shout out to everybody who is hanging out on this Saturday. Who all do we have in the house? Let's see. What do you think about Trump? No ma'am. No sir. No ma'am. You're not going to get me in trouble. Let me tell you something. I've already said it once. I'll say it twice. Be careful what you say. The grave you dig. I'm just saying. I want to say something, but I don't want to knock at my door. I don't. But listen, the real point of me doing this today is not really to talk about Trump. We could talk about that all week. But what I wanted to do today is, for those of you who don't know, I'm an avid book reader. I love a good book. Just to kind of take my head out of whatever else is going on. And just because I'm nosy as hell. So I like to see what people are thinking about. I like to see where their creativity takes them. And so today I'm going to be talking to a longtime friend of mine. Her name is Raqiyah Mays. She is the bomb. And she wrote a book. She actually wrote a book a while ago, but she re-released the book. And when I tell you, it's juicy. So, what up from Houston? Hey now. You know I love Houston. I got to get back to Texas. Texas doesn't like me that much, though. Gave me all kinds of craziness. Asthma and whatnot. Let's see, who else is joining us? Oh, a lot of people. I'm just going to wave because all these waves, and because I don't go live enough, I don't know how it works. So I'm going to just do the best I can, and y'all work with me, and we're going to try to get this thing popping. I'm waiting for her to join in. But look at all these people. Oh, my God. I love it. Do you guys like it when people go live? I feel like when you talk so much on social media, people are like, shut the hell up. I talk all week, radio and TV. You ain't going to get on my nerves on the weekend, too. But, Raqiyah, where you at, girl? I'm ready to get into this book. First of all, shout out to Arkansas, too. Come to Missouri, just wear a mask. Let me tell y'all something. Because, I got COVID from D.L. Hughley. So I mask up everywhere I go. I go to the front yard to check the mailbox, mask on. All right? Oh, there she is. She has to, let me see. Here we go. Oh, I think I got her. I think I got her. I'm just waiting for her to respond. Y'all don't even know. This has been a long time coming. But shout out to everybody. Memphis, Arkansas. There she is. What's up, beautiful?
This is my first virtual reading, so I forgot you had to add go live with Jasmine. So I'm waiting. I'm like,
what's crazy is I never go live. It's a rare thing that I do because I'm like, I don't want to get on people's nerves. I'm like, we don't want to hear about your shit. We don't care. So I try to just do pictures and, things I think they should read. But with you and this book, first of all, I'm so proud of you. Can I say that? It's the truth. I'm proud.
Thanks, Jazz. Thank you.
So proud that I bought a friend just for you. So
yes. Yes.
The man curse right away.
Yes.
We're going to pour a nice little bubbly to celebrate said celebration. Now listen,
yes.
You guys out there don't have to join me and drink because I can't drink alone. I don't condone it, but I do it. So I'm going to say right out the gate, cheers to you, your book, and the success that I know is going to come that way. I'm excited. I'm going to take a sip because it's going to get deep.
Okay.
Now,
thank you, Jazz. I appreciate it. Oh my God.
In case you don't believe, first of all, you're not going to believe this, but
what?
I was inundated all week with the news cycle.
I bet you were. It's a lot going on.
Why? Right? Trump and everything else is going on. And just everything else that was happening. Then I stabbed myself. I had to get stitches.
What?
Had to go get a shot. Girl, lied. But you know what I did last night? I stayed up and read your book.
What'd you do?
Look at them notes.
Oh my God. Wow.
Finished it. That's how much of a voracious reader I am. Like I when I sit down and put my mind to it, I don't stop. Now,
thank you, Jazz.
I don't hate me, okay? But I don't believe in spending time reading off somebody's accolades and talking about all the things that they've done. I personally think
Okay.
that, I mean, that's cool, but people just really want to know who you are. And I think when you're talking to people, it either co-signs for you or it doesn't. Everybody
Right.
knows I don't talk to a lot of people because I'm really not that interested in what a lot of people. That's the Scorpio nature of me. But the truth
Right.
of the matter is,
Right.
I've always liked you. It's funny, I feel like we've ran in the same circles for a long time, but it took a while for us to actually meet. And I actually found out about you because of your book, The Man Curse. Now, full disclosure, I thought, oh God, here we go with another book, man bashing and talking about
I hear it.
psychological. And I was like, I can't. I don't want to, I can't find it
I
with
hear
it.
you. I understand.
But
Oh, Jasmine.
so, for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure everybody knows that you, first of all, I've always known you were a great writer, but I didn't know how good of a writer you are. The writer, the journalist, the screenwriter, the all these things that you are. The thing that I love most about you is that you are a genuine, you're just the real deal. You're down to earth. You're a fellow Scorpio, so that's a plus because you know how we can be crazy. But I'm going to say this too because I want people to know um, that I can be a bit of a recluse, and
Yes.
I don't reach out often, but I reached out to you not too long ago because I needed your energy, yours in particular, and I think that says a lot, not necessarily about me, but more about you. You have this thing about you, this calm nature, this, even when you don't know the North Star that you can be, it's there. And so I wanted to
Thank
say publicly, thank you for that. And that's one of the reasons why when you were like, look, I got this book, I said, done. I don't even know what it is, but done. So
Oh,
glad
that's
I
nice.
did.
Thank you.
So first I want to give you the opportunity to really quickly, before I get into these notes of mine, give you
Okay.
the opportunity to
Okay.
kind of give the backstory about the man curse
Yeah.
and how it came about and why the second time around. Let's talk about that. So I'll give you the floor to kind of
Yeah.
give us some background on that while I sip on this
Right.
prosecco.
Right. 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 I mean, I'll start with the why, which is, that this book took me 10 years to write. I had an idea for this book when I was maybe in high school. I knew because there were women in my family that would say it was kind of like a joke. It was sort of like, we're cursed. That's why we're not married. There's a curse. Yeah. And growing up and seeing that and seeing women who in my family, they weren't married and there were relationship issues and all different types of things, or women who were fine in their own skin without a man. They were
Right.
okay with it. And had they given up? Perhaps. But there was still this looming of this curse. And so it took me 10 years to write the book. Originally got my deal with Simon and Schuster. Huge dream. It was great. Except something happened. And so in about 2017, I released the book in 2015, 2017. I don't know if you remember this, when Simon and Schuster had released a book by a white supremacist.
Oh,
And do you remember
I
that
do.
story? They released a book, authors were upset, staff had walked out, and author Roxane Gay, for those that don't know, she wrote Bad Feminist. She's just dope, right? A sister activist. And she pulled out of her deal with Simon and
Mm.
Schuster. And she was like, I can't release my book under a publisher that, wants to release a white supremacist. He'd had like a record book deal, advanced, larger than anyone else, and she wasn't having
Right.
it. But little author like me, no one knew me as an author. I emailed my agent and I was like, I need to get out of my contract. I need my rights back to my book. I can't be signed to anyone that would release a book with a white supremacist. So it took a long time. I had to go dark. I couldn't promote my book. They pulled it from everywhere. It was disheartening. But I walked away with my
Yeah.
rights and with my dignity.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew I would re-release it. And here we are. What better time than during
A pandemic.
a epic pandemic?
And we got time, girl. We got time to read.
Right.
We got time to
Right.
self-reflect. And we got time to dig
Right.
into whatever issues, or really just to celebrate life,
Right.
So I First of all, Mina. When I tell you, and this is real talk, I kind of wrestled with what I wanted you to speak about, because every time I thought I found something,
Yeah.
I read more and be like, damn, there was another sticky note. And then there was another aha moment. And then there was another light bulb. And I was like, there's so much meat to the book. And there's also so much me in several of the characters, which was kind of scary.
Right.
But the very first thing I wanted to talk about very quickly before I get to the part that I want you to read, because there's a couple of things that I found in the book that I think are a through line throughout the entire thing. But the first thing right off the bat for me was how the, not even going to say how the curse came about, but really what was used to support the curse, which is the church. Black women in the church. And you touch just a little bit on it about how, you know, we as Black women, we go to church, like, no pun intended, but religiously all the time. And one of the main reasons we go is we pray for men, either men that we don't have, men that we have that are not acting right, but we always praying on our knees for a man. And then one of the lines in the book talked about how, well, how you gonna get a man when you always at church? And you always use it. Like just the psychology of it, just in my brain. And it took me back to my childhood and how just about everybody in the church that I knew, not everyone, because I dare not paint everyone with one broad brush, but I thought about, wow, it is true that just about every older female that I know are always praying about men. And then on top of that, the pastor is always saying, come to church and pray for a man.
Yes.
Paul and Mary? What? Do I always have to stay in church praying for a man? And what about being in church just praying for my own sanity?
Right. Or praying to a man. God, the perception of God. And for those listening, this is not a Christian book. For those, and Jasmine, I know you will let them know this is not what this is about.
It's not. Some of these sex scenes. Woo, I was like, yo, and that was a dream. Okay, I got you. I see. But I don't want to jump too fast and too far ahead. I just wanted to touch on that a little bit because it stuck out to me. But I remembered you had said to me in the beginning, it's not a religious book and blah, blah, blah. And when I began to read it, I realized that it was not. But the one thing that I wanted to start off was in chapter 3, because I'm just going to skip right to chapter 3 because there's something very important there for me that I want to talk about very quickly. And that is this whole thought about being married and how that would be one of the biggest goals in life. And for me, I mean, you can define the man curse after reading the book as whatever you want it to be. But for me, it turned out to be the curse was the curse in and of itself that actually was cast by the person. In a very weird way. But the curse for me started with this whole chapter regarding getting married and that being the biggest goal of your life. And so in reading it, and just so you can give me a little bit of background, like you said that was something that you heard, because I wondered if this was your story, if this is what happened, is this what the women in your life were about, and was one of the biggest goals of your life was that actually to get married?
Well, you're talking to somebody that actually was married. I am no longer married. But it was important to me. I think we as women are socialized to want to get married, right? Think about it. You got Barbie and Ken, you know, it's how they set us up, the little dolls and the toys that we see together, and they groom us like that. Whether you grew up in a church, no matter who you pray to, that's what it is. Nuclear family, mom, dad, kids. It's the Cosby Show for those of us of a certain generation that grew up on that. Claire and Cliff. You wanted that type of thing. You saw that. And if you didn't grow up in a two-parent household, which I definitely didn't, it becomes something that you secretly want and you wish for, whether you talk about it or you verbalize it. But then we can get even bigger when you talk about things like Valentine's Day and things of love that make you feel like you're less than, if you don't have somebody in your life, for a little girl, that can be a lot for
Yeah.
you. And it can be something that you identify with, as if you need to have this to find some type of happiness in your life. So I definitely went through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the relationship with your parents, I the part about you and your mom, I actually made some notes about this because I know that, and again, just assuming that it's loosely based on your life and the lack of the relationship with your father, because girl, this juicy. That's all I'm gonna tell you. I was like, damn. But anyway, let me back up. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. The one
Right.
thing I found a lot of myself in Mina's character in the book regarding the mothers. Not everything, and not the end reasons why your relationship or the relationship between Mina and her mother was such that she treated relationships with men better than she treated the relationship with her own daughter. And one thing struck me in particular in the book where you talk about how her relationship with this man, where she cooked for him, she was excited. And one thing really, really, really got me, because it reminded me a lot, was when you talked about how she would throw her head back and laugh out loud. And it made me think about my relationship with my mother. Although I grew up in a two-parent household, I felt like she was so hard on me, and I never got to see that same kind of carefree behavior. There was always the criticism. There was always the I don't want to say abuse because it's a strong word, but whether it's physical, emotional, psychological, all of that. And it made me stop to think, when you're even thinking about the man curse, or whatever that means, and whatever you walk away from this book as the definition for you, it made me wonder, why is it in a lot of households with Black mothers, we are so hard on our daughters, and there's almost no room to dream? It's almost like you have to be, stringent about this and strict about that, and, don't do this and don't do that, and you did this wrong, and why couldn't, and it's almost like your hands are tied, and there's no place to like dream of beautiful, great, and fun things, like, or the freedom to have the room for that. Is that where that came from, or was that leading to something else in the book when you talk about Mina and her relationship with her mother?
So your question is about the goal of the man curse. What you ask?
Because I think when you think about any kind of curse, right, it has to originate from somewhere, and typically, depending on the origin and the fertilizer, depending on how much rain and water and sun, and those things, in my mind, could be a metaphor for the relationship with your parents, the relationships with men, the relationships with yourself. All of that can either cause that curse to grow or to die. And so for me, as I was reading it and thinking about, because I hadn't gotten to the end yet, just thinking about the man curse and watching how it grew in some places, right? And then how I thought it was about to die when it sprung up again. So I want to start with the origin of it and find out if, in fact, the relationship with Mina and her mother, the way she was treated, was that fertile ground for the curse to grow?
I mean, I think, yes, that's where it began, but I think it began with what she saw actually growing up, and it goes back to, and for those that are watching, listening, and I'm so appreciative. Thank you, Jasmine. I love you so much.
I want to, because I don't want to give too much of the book away, because I want people to read it to have a good understanding of where I'm coming from with the line of questioning.
Right. I mean, it's about self-fulfilling prophecies, right? And so if your elders are consistently telling you, you hear it from the grandmother, you hear it from the great-grandmother in the book, you're not getting married, we're cursed, right? And then you are in a household where you see, like Mina does, she sees these not dysfunctional relationships. She sees that around her. What happens is she begins to ingrain it. It's pure psychology, right? How can you not think that that's who you are? So then the self-fulfilling prophecy begins to play out in life, where you push men away, or you do things where you think you can't trust
Yeah.
men until you actually figure it out and get on that path to heal it, right? And so that's really what you were seeing with Mina and her mother.
Yeah.
And the entire family, to be honest with you.
It really reminded me so much of seeing the way my mom would be with other people. And I think for me, it just kind of created this, I don't know, almost this garden of neglect, because I saw what she would do with other people that she wouldn't do with me. And for Mina in the relationship, it was seeing how caring and how carefree and happy she was with this man who the whole relationship was fucked up anyway.
Right.
She could find love to have this, and I don't know, just this freeness. And for me, I can see that it hurt Mina. And I think moving forward, I think that had a lot to do with kind of how she was in some of her relationships, at least for me, because it made me think about how I am in relationships, be it friendships, be it, romantic relationships. Oh my God, be it professional relationships, the same kind of apprehension or the same kind of, well, why not with me? You know what I mean? And so I just, and then even down to the other thing that I thought was interesting was watching even when Mina became sexually active, right? And rather than having a conversation with her, it was more of just the chastisement, the punishment, and not necessarily the explanation of what you're feeling and why you're going through that. Well, and that's another thing that I struggle with just in the Black community, is why we won't talk about sex. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's what you
don't do
it.
Don't, you better not.
Your whole self,
better
fast tail. Like, that's all you hear. It's true.
Right.
And then when you start to feel those hormones, you start thinking, am I hoe? Because I feel like that.
Right. Am I nasty? He did the nasty. Did it. You did it. I did it.
There's always that nasty girl in your neighborhood, right? You start thinking, am I hoe? Is that me? But just the twisted turns about the relationship, and like I said, the big thing was for me just that whole relationship with, I don't know, her mom. And it was so interesting to me because I kind of felt like the self-fulfilling prophecy, again, for those who are joining, this is not a male bashing thing at all. It really is.
It's not about a man. I tell people the man curse, themancurse.com. It is not about a man at all.
It's not.
Men love the book, Jasmine. Men read this book. You know that.
I can see how they could get it. Because in a lot of ways, Mina made some men pay for her own insecurities. Now, that's not to say some of the men she was dealing with were not flat out dogs. Because I was kind of pissed off at Mina sometimes. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I wanted to get up and have a drink. I was like, now, damn it. What the hell? Get the message. Don't you see the writing is on the wall? What more do you need?
Right.
Because I want to also very quickly talk about the relationships of people who, your friends, who know what you don't know, but for some reason you can't hear what they're saying.
You can't hear your friends.
To me, I thought, damn, like she had the answer for you the whole time, Mina, and you wouldn't hear it.
Right. She was trying to, but isn't that real life? Like you can see your friends in a bad relationship. You might say something and they just might not listen, or they might see you in just a real fucked up relationship, and they're trying to tell you, but at the end of the day, you kind of just gotta let people learn. You come
also because you don't want to be the cause of the breakup and then perhaps thereby ruin your own friendship. Because let me tell y'all something. For those of y'all listening, joining, I know I step on a lot of toes, but I just speak it the way I see it, how I feel it. And I think a lot of times we as women, we can be a little cuckoo crazy. Now, I'm not saying we're crazy by ourselves. What we do, we tell ourselves these stories in our heads that are not necessarily true.
It's true.
And so I think when we create and craft that narrative, now we want to hold other people responsible for our own insanity, which is crazy in and of itself. Like a lot of the
That's
stuff that
right.
Nina went through, like the relationships that were bad. I hate to be the bearer of bad news for those who are joining in. A lot of that shit is our fault.
Right.
Like I've been in situations where I was really digging a guy and I wanted him to dig me back so bad that I would take
Mm.
some of the foul behavior and redefine it. Oh, he didn't mean that. He's busy.
Right. Well, yeah.
Yeah, he's sick. I know. I mean, I'm sick. He should come and see me. He's
Right.
busy.
Right. He's just going through some things. He just, it's stress on the job.
So
You know.
who's really crazy, him or me?
Mm.
And why do I stand
Accept
for
it.
that?
Right.
So I think, and I do
Right.
believe a lot of that is what leads women to believe that either they are cursed or believe
Right.
that all men are dogs, which I hate it when people say that because
I know.
it's not true. Because we all are adulting. Yes, we make mistakes.
Right.
Yes, we make bad decisions. I think the key is like Mina is to try your best to learn from the decision. First of all, let's see the problem for what it is and not for what we want it to be. Because a lot of times, just because the sex is good doesn't mean he's good for you.
Talk about it. Well, sometimes the sex will make you stay longer. The sex.
Let me drink this with both hands.
The sex. The sex.
But sometimes you gotta do like Mina did. You gotta go get,
You
you
got
get. I'm not mad at Mina because she's mad at her dildo. I'm just saying, I'm not mad at her. But we're not gonna get too deep into that. Because it's so many things I talk about in this book. I'm telling you, I saw it. And I remember, I'll tell you the story that reminded me of Mina. I was reading, I was dating this guy in college a long time ago, so I would not dare make these mistakes again. And everything about him screamed dog. Everything about him screamed dog. But he was sexy, he was a little rough, and I was like, yeah, he was fun and exciting.
He was like, yeah.
But all of that really, when you are an adult, equals irresponsible. And not
right. Those instincts, Mm-hmm. You like problem?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. And I knew he was cheating on me. I knew it, but I just refused. Like Mina, I just didn't want to accept it. I kept thinking, well, maybe I could put it on him so good he'll forget about. Ladies, no.
Right. The WAP. Let's put the WAP on him so he never leaves. Really? Does that really work? Does WAP really keep a man? For not for the long run. Not for the long run. Temporarily.
It doesn't. It doesn't work. It does not work. And I remember stooping so low when I finally made the decision. And I can't really, in truthfulness, say I made the decision to leave as much as the relationship left me. But I broke into his apartment and took all my stuff back.
What, Jasmine? What? Wow.
I was gone and I broke in.
What?
I had bought him a blue jean jacket. I took that. I didn't have a lot of money then. All I could buy was a blue jean jacket. That represented the world. And I wanted my world back. Give me my jacket. I don't keep you warm.
Give me my jacket back.
Give me my stuff. And give me my Calvin Klein cologne. I wanted all of it.
Wow.
But it was my fault. It was my fault. I chose to participate in something that was not good for me. It was not good for my spirit. Somebody said the pettiness of youth. You're right. That was
but you know what? It's not always in the youth. Jasmine. Girl.
With my grown ass self right now.
You better not.
I think that's part of the crazy, because when you don't take time to correct yourself, imagine what that could do to me had I not corrected that behavior, had I not grown out of that. And I think the beautiful thing about the story about Mina is watching her grow, watching her find herself all the way to the end. I'm not even going to give it away, but just watching her kind of find herself and becoming, the person that I think always is her. And I think the bigger story is knowing when you need help and being willing to reach out to get it in whatever form that is, whether that is to have a conversation with a friend, Whether that's to have a
That's
conversation with
right.
a therapist, which you know that's a bad word in our community.
Therapy,
And I think
therapy. When we need it so much, we need it more than anyone else. Living in America,
what?
come on now.
From the cradle to the grave, we need it. We need it.
It's
So
real.
let's see. What do I want?
It's
Let
real.
me find what I wanted you to read. I know one thing I wanted to
Okay.
say. There was a couple of things in here that I found interesting, and one was I wrote a note in chapter 9. I said, "Why do we believe we are better than our mothers?"
Mm.
Because I felt as though some of the same mistakes that Mina's mother made, she herself was making, and yet she was highly judgmental of her mother. Yet she was doing the same thing in many ways.
Right.
There's obviously some differences to it, but in a lot of ways, Mina, your shit was thinking too.
Right. Right.
Right. I mean,
Right.
and if just really quickly, I want to. This is where I came up with that. This is chapter 9 when you say that memory continued to haunt me even as I flirted with Emmanuel. But I wasn't mom. I was better, smarter, careful to keep a wall around my heart, have fun, and not fall victim to the stupidity. The curse on my family had shown up in a way I refused to repeat.
Mm. Mm. Take a sip. Take a sip.
Mina, you lying.
All right.
Mina, you lying.
But that's what we do. We lie to ourselves.
What we do. And I think a lot of times you think that, and the first thing too, well, now the third or fourth thing is I think we're so hard on our mothers, forgetting they too were once young women dealing with emotions, heartbreak, hormones. Sometimes what they also, the curse, the same thing.
That's right.
Pass the curse down to your mother. She believed it, and the only thing she knew was to pass it down to you.
Right. That's right.
And so we can't stand in judgment of them a lot, right? Like I don't really get a lot of the mother's backstory because I know this is a story about Mina, but I think in a lot of times when we're dealing with our own stuff, you got to look at your mom's past. What were her relationships like? And what happened with her mother?
Right. What happened? That's the question. What happened? Right.
Now, I don't know the relationship again, how close this mirrors your actual relationship with your mom, but when you were writing the book and you were thinking about the dynamic of that, did any of that play a part in this? Like, did you have a great relationship with your mother? Did you know about the things that she dealt with in relationships or with men in general?
Yeah, that's a great question. My relationship with my mother has always been temperamental. You know, I was the oldest, you know, as I came into myself, and I was always the one that, you know, would tell people about themselves, for lack of better words. So in my household, it was common to hear, don't psychoanalyze me, Kia, right? Because I would be the one to be like, see, you're acting like this because X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, right? And if it wasn't a smack, it was a verbal smack. And so it was temperamental. And you know, now as I'm an adult, and I'm 3,000 miles away in LA and she's in Jersey, it's all good, you know, but it has its moments. I think you learn. I think for me, the turning point was accepting that my mother is who she is and my mother is not going to change. I want her to change. And I think that's where the fighting and the strife comes, because you want them to do this different. How come you can't be like her mom or XYZ's mom who does this? No, your mom is your mom. She's going to be who she is. And you have to accept that.
So here's a tough question. If I'm not asking you what you think, but would people who know you, your mom, your family, and know, I guess, the dynamics, would they say that you are like your mother? Because I think that's a great thing for a lot of women. You don't want to become your mother.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. And I think like I'm really patient. When I was married, I was raising I had a stepson. I was raising my ex-husband's son, and from what I heard from family, they kept saying things like, "You're a really good mom. You're so patient. Wow, you're so patient." And at the time I knew what that was, because in my household there wasn't a lot of patience. Now, when I think back, I know she was a single mother. when you grow up in a single parent household, like I get it now, you know, single parents don't have patience. They don't have time to
Yeah.
sleep. They're snappy. They're tired. They're working one, maybe two jobs. So there might not be as much patience. And so hearing that, I knew I'm much more affectionate. So I'm a lot different than my mother. We have a similar laugh. I know that much, similar voices. You know, professionally similar, ambitious and focused and loyal. But personally, not the same.
So now what about, I know in the book, Mina talked about how, you know, there was a lack of, I guess, examples of what a good man looked like and what a good relationship looked like. And what do you do when, and that's a real question, like, what do you do when, you know, your relationship with your mom is strained, or maybe she's absent, or maybe your grandparents raised you, or perhaps, you
Right.
know, because I know for me at least, I never got to see what a good, balanced relationship looked like, because my mother ran things, period. My dad was kind of like, I provide the jokes and I stay out of the house. I never really saw them hug and interact. And I didn't have that kind of relationship with any other men in the family. And I know in the book you talk about how, you know, sometimes the lack of getting that testosterone based advice about relationships or about men can either help
Right.
you, I guess it could also hurt, right? But the lack of it certainly
Right.
can. And what does
Right.
that mean for Mina, and what does that mean for you or any other female who has that type of situation?
Right. I mean, I think for Mina, her not having that and coming from a family that's overwhelmingly women, strong, powerful, assertive, aggressive,
Yes.
Black women.
Is there
Don't tell
any
me
other
what
kind
to
of
do.
black
This is
woman?
who I am. You see what I'm saying? This is who I am. Deal with it. Oh, you can't deal with it? Weak,
Yes.
fragile, like those type of women. And so, you know, for her coming from that and not really being able to see, it definitely affected her. It's almost like a fantasy where you begin to make it up. So the book is based in the 90s. The Man Curse is a very 90s hip hop backdrop to it. And so, you know, for a lot of us that came up in that era, you know, for the Gen
Yeah.
Xers listening, it was very much hip hop raised us to want thugs and roughnecks and thinking that that's the form of what a man is. So if he wasn't hardcore, if he wasn't tough, if he wasn't like, come
Yeah.
here, you know, then he's not the man. He's not really a
Right.
man, is
Yeah. They
he?
call that toxic masculinity today.
Now we have terms for it,
Right.
right? Now we know it, you know. But how many of us were talking about I gotta get a roughneck? Like, I mean, Jasmine.
I mean, listen, I'm not gonna lie. But I don't want the kind of,
Right.
I don't want the kind of roughneck that I had in college. I want my roughneck to be smooth, but I still want him to be rough. And I think that just comes from, you know what it is, honestly? I think in many ways, just like Mia, and I think just like a lot of Black women, especially in today's world of feeling so not protected. You know what I mean? And for
Right.
whatever reason,
That is
I
going.
don't know why. It's probably a terrible narrative that we've crafted that only a particular type of Black man can protect you. But I want to
Right.
feel as though when I walk into a room with my man, whenever he shows up, because at the moment I don't know where he is, he must be busy too. Because I haven't seen
Right.
him in years.
Right.
But I want to feel protected. I want to feel, even when I leave the
Right.
house alone, that he's got me. Even if I'm miles away, he's going to come see
Right.
about me. And I want him to show up with a roughness. I don't want him showing up saying, is
Yes.
everything okay? No. What the hell is going on around
Right.
here? Who messing with my girl? Like, I want a little bit of that. So I can
Right.
get the butterflies and giggle a little bit when it happens.
Right. 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 I think, but thug is a whole different thing. The thug is on the street selling drugs,
Correct.
doing this, getting in trouble. And I think when we were younger in that age, in our 20s, that's sort of what was the parallel or synonym for us of a tough man, of a good man, because he was a bad boy that was getting in trouble. There's a word. He was a bad boy, right? But then hopefully you grow out of that and you realize that part of a good man is confidence. You want someone
Yeah.
confident, someone assertive, someone that's going to stand by their woman and stand up for
Yeah,
their
I
woman.
think that comes
Not
with
necessarily
maturity, in that when you're younger, the bad boy just looks different. Whereas as he gets older, it takes on a whole new look and a whole new definition. So the bad boy
drama.
doesn't just show up with, I don't know, a black leather jacket riding a Harley. Or, I don't know. I don't even know what a bad boy was back in the day. I guess, like, I don't know. He just looks today than
Right,
he did then.
right. He looks. Today, when I see a bad boy, to me, that's drama. I don't want drama. I don't want a whole bunch of babies, mamas. I just don't want it. I
And see,
really
for
don't.
me,
Shout to you got
when I
somebody,
see that, all I
Jasmine.
think is that's gonna make me lose my check.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't. You see what I'm saying? Like, come
I
on.
don't want it. I don't want it.
Like, how can you help me build my money? How can you help me build my legacy?
Right.
Like,
Without us going to jail.
that's that's what I'm talking about. But sometimes we do, like we talk about in the man curse, we curse
We curse
ourselves.
ourselves.
We
We
curse
absolutely do. So speaking about
ourselves.
what I wanted you to read, because I wanted to hear it in your
Yeah,
voice, and you can read as much
yeah.
of it as you want to, but
Okay.
for me, it's chapter 18. And
Okay.
I mean, again, you can go as much as you want, but the heart of what I wanted to hear in your voice is on page 156. But I think you should probably back it up a little
Okay.
bit to give a little bit more context about what is actually going on in this particular chapter. Because this, for me, as you can see, I highlighted the whole thing.
Yes, Jasmine.
As
Yes.
journalists, you know how we do. I was like, I don't want to forget that.
Yes.
I don't want to forget
Yes.
that. I'm telling you, it was so many gems in this book. Matter of fact, let me tell you something.
Right.
Before you even read that, I'm going to tell you something else I thought was one of the best things, even to this day, because I thought, oh my God, this is look, this is chapter 12. I wrote it down and put a sticky note that said, best advice ever. And this is the advice when
Okay.
she got the job, right? The job that she was excited about at Buzz Magazine, I think it was. She said,
Right.
this is her boss talking to her. Just 2 words of advice for you. 1, don't tell my business. Everything in my life and what I tell you is confidential. Never tell anyone where I am. And 2, don't tell your business. Everything in your life is confidential. This is a small industry. Word travels fast. You don't want people all up in your shit. And let me tell you why that rings true for me and for you, because we come from the same ilk. Here's the thing. In this business,
Right.
it is so vast,
Right.
yet so small. So
So small.
everything you do,
Yes.
and it never fails. I can think of a million
Yes.
times when I thought about dating someone. And I
Mm.
was like, I have a hard, fast rule. I don't date anybody in this business. Because too many times I've ended up across the table in a meeting that was about to be tense. It had nothing to do with me and him and everything to do about this. And I thought, wow, imagine had we dated. Now I'm
Wow.
across the table from him and all our shit is on the table. And I'm not talking about just professional. I mean everything. Seeing my sex
Right.
faces, we argued.
Mm.
He knows my inner, everything.
God.
And now he used
Right.
that against me as my
Yes.
weakness.
Yes. Yes. We always lose out on that. Women lose out on that. The men don't.
Men do not. For them, it's almost like a trophy, like a badge of honor.
Yeah.
For women, it's the same.
Yeah.
It's this.
It's not.
You get the whole. Look at her.
Yes. Yup. Look at her. See that?
Anyway, back to me, chapter 18. Like I said, for me, 150 all the way was good, but you can pick it up.
Okay.
Wherever you want to. So everybody who's
well, why don't you can you set it up where we are in the man curse, Jasmine? Set it up real quick, then I'll start from 156.
Okay, so this is Mina basically coming to reckoning with the truth and having a conversation as she's smoking a little weed, I do believe, with her friend, who seems to have had the answer the whole time, but Mina she's been through so much, and you would think it, and oh my God, it's literally like having walked through fire, and your best friend said, "You do know there's a different door over here you can walk through." But if you want to go
Mm.
that way, you go ahead. I'll meet you on the other side and see your hair burned off and your face all scorched up. Whatever you want to do. And she
Okay.
chose the door with the fire. And now this is her having a conversation with her friend, giving her nothing but the unadulterated truth.
Okay. That's good. That's good. Okay. Chapter 18, page 156 of The Man Curse. Shout out to Jamaica on the check-in. I
Yes.
see they're trying to get your attention. Case to Jamaica.
We see you,
Speaking of
Terry.
weed. All right.
Go ahead and take care of this glass of Prosecco because
Okay. So this starts with Meredith speaking, Mina's best friend. And if he's not, you can fuck him forever and not feel a thing. I know, I get it, but love is not enough to make a relationship work. Just because you love somebody doesn't mean you're supposed to be with them, she said. Both of my parents told me that. They say it all the time. The words seeped into the clouds of smoke. Her mother and father had remarried each other after both of their failed first marriages. Meredith came a few years later. Like, when you fall before you know someone well, when you don't trust your instincts, sex dulls them even more. Love blinds you altogether, making it hard to tell truth from fantasy. You start doubting yourself, doubting your soul, living without integrity to your own damn self, literally lying to yourself. We can't do that as women. We always know. I mean, I always know when a man isn't being honest with me. I think every woman does. And I know sometimes you can't control who you feel love for, but you can control who you give love to. You can control who you're in a you can control who you're in a relationship with. Meredith, and by the way, Meredith is high too. Meredith rambled on.
She preaching high. I don't know, but she preaching. That part.
Meredith rambled on, making all the sense in the world. She tended to do this when she was high. First being quiet like a therapist taking notes, then talking a mile a minute, morphing into super intellectual weed smoker mode, pontificating on the ways of love, where her words ran into one another with no periods, occasional commas. Her points ran on. When Meredith finished, she took a long pull, held it in for 10 seconds, and exhaled. So what are you going to do? I don't know, girl. I'll figure it out. You need to snoop, she said, smiling. Get your private investigator on. Next time you go to his house, look around. There are always signs. I need to move to Brooklyn. Whatever. Doesn't matter where you live. If he's a cheat, Meredith answered, just do the digging. I can see the sense of that. My dreams usually manifested like instinctual infidelity premonitions. When it came to the women in my family, we never knew if the nightmare we envisioned meant the cheating would occur in the future or if we were seeing the past. Regardless of when the transgression took place, we always found out in the most blatant manner. TheManCurse.com.
Look how I feel. So even when Meredith was high, she still had the clarity of mind to call it what it was. And it's so funny because I do believe, and we just talked about that. We just talked about how you know when a situation isn't right for you. And the universe gives you all the signs, the sex dolls. Things just ain't right. You don't feel where you, all of those things telling you to move on. And you won't. And even after that preaching, the altar call, the collection plate, what did Mina say? I don't know what I'll figure it out. What?
I don't know. We'll see. But you know, it's trusting instincts, right? I think a lot of us we're both Scorpios. We're all about astrology. We get it. But at the end of the day, it's still about trusting your instincts. Yeah. Your instincts know, like we have so much intuition, but it takes us so long to trust them, to trust ourselves. I also
think, just like Meredith said, sometimes the sex can be so good it blinds you. Sometimes the love that you think is love can blind you. But I also believe that, just like she said, sometimes love on its own just isn't enough. And I think that's one of the reasons why we get so disappointed in relationships. I believe it's why we get so, I don't know, down on ourselves, because we think it didn't work because something was wrong with us. And maybe it was. I think the big mistake was from the beginning. The whole through line for me was the curse about the fantasy, buying into this fantasy of what love is supposed to look like. Is it supposed to look like Barbie and Ken? And where's my big house? And where's my car? And how come we don't have 2.5 kids? And, Barbie was glamorous and skinny waisted and all. Bitch, come on. Like, that's family.
Right.
We curse
Right.
ourselves, and then we spend our entire lives trying to live up to not only Barbie's figure, but Barbie's her definition of what a relationship looks like. And you go
Right.
crazy trying to do that. It doesn't work.
That's
All the
right.
love in the world, all the good sex, man, at the first of the month when the bills come due.
That's right.
And life
Talk
sinks
about it.
in. You know what I mean? And I think that's what it took Mina a long time to see that. But I think that she saw eventually that she had some work to do.
Right. Right. She had work to
We
do.
all do, don't we?
But
We all have work to do.
we all do. I mean, I think if you're growing and evolving, you are consistently doing work.
That's if you're growing and
You
evolving.
keep doing.
Some of us are not.
Mm.
Some of us are just gathering
Talk about
moss.
that.
Sitting in one place, wondering why
Right.
we're so dusty. You know why you're dusty. You're not
Right.
moving. You're not making yourself better.
Right.
And you can do that and be comfortable. Right. Comfort is death to me. Because if you're comfortable, that
Right.
means you're not moving. You're not growing. You're not punching out of whatever it is. You got
Right.
It's gonna hurt. It's gonna be uncomfortable. But isn't that what birth is all about?
Yes. Yes.
Like me.
You know what I'm saying?
Married to weed. I myself have not smoked weed before, but trust me, I'm going to.
What?
I've never,
good girl.
Never. But I want to. Only me would I wait until now to say I want to smoke weed.
Right. Now. It's never too late.
Now I want to get high. I'm 90. I want to get high now.
Hey, it's COVID. Just blame it on COVID.
Blame it on COVID. I'm telling you, I'm gonna try it though. I'm not even kidding. I am. But in the meantime, me, this Prosecco, my gin, my tequila, we good.
Right.
But
Right.
I love the man curse. And I loved it for many different reasons. I loved it because I got the opportunity to, and not to say that there aren't other books and situations that you could see this, but I love it when they show a Black woman's vulnerability. I think we've created Black girl magic and the Black woman superhero, and I think that's great. But I think, I think that sometimes that can be heavy. And I think as Black women, we need to be vulnerable sometimes. We need to be okay with, we're not strong every day. And yes, we get hurt and we're going to make some bad mistakes. And
that's right.
Give us a break. Yeah. Give yourself a break. And that was another thing. This is something I don't do and I'm going to try, but I feel crazy when I do it. And that is talking to yourself in the mirror.
Oh, the big little conversation. The big little.
But when I look at myself in the mirror, all I can think about is that a pimple? I'm superficial. I'm like, what? Are my eyebrows? Like, what is? I can't get into the psychological of things because I'm so bad. I'm like, my nose is big. So I don't stare in the mirror like that. I'm like, look at the size of my head. Damn. And I'm supposed to.
Or I'm cute. I'm cute. I look good today. Oh, yeah, yes, girl.
Right. It's the beginning. It's the beginning,
You're getting there. I'm getting there. Yeah.
But I think that's the thing I love about the book. So I just want to say, you got to pick up The Man Curse. Do yourself a favor, read it, hold the judgment. Don't look at the title. Go to the inside of the book, find yourself. Because I do believe that a lot of women will find themselves either in the mama, either in the best friend, either in, it could be in a lot of these characters in the book. You could find yourself. And I think in the end, if you walk away with finding yourself, I think that in and of itself will be the blessing. I'm so proud of you.
Oh, thank you, Jasmine.
I should have wrote this book.
You got a book in you, Jasmine. You got a book in you. I keep telling you.
Me, and 6 of them are illegal, so we're gonna leave them with it.
I am thankful for just you doing this and always being so supportive and fly and sexy and intellectual and highlighting a whole bunch of pages and sharing me with your.
I'm going to record that, so when I can't say anything, I'm going to play that when I look at myself in the mirror.
Yes, girl, you are flying. Look at you, like you're doing it, and you've always done it. And thank you to those that are here listening. You can get the book at themancurse.com. I really just appreciate just the time and the love.
I do. I'm one of those people that I don't believe in just getting on social media and saying things like, I love my sisters, or I got their back. No, let's see it. Let me see what you got.
Right.
Really, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, faith without works is dead. So, you got to put some work into it. And I believe in you. I think you are a strong sister. You always have been. I've always admired you. And again, like I said from the beginning, I saw the title and I was like, The Man Curse. Now, why was she going to write a book like that? But then when I read it, I was like, my God, look at me up in this book, up and down these pages. How does she know my business?
Get out my business. That's my life. I've heard but you know what's funny? I've heard that from women. Let me tell you, I had a gay Asian man come up to me and be like, that's my life. Me and my sister are cursed. We have the man curse. I've had people of all races say, that's me. I'm cursed.
I do.
So this is not just a black woman thing.
I believe you. I think women, I think a lot of times, especially on the female side, I don't know what it is about us that for generations, there is something that we pass down that always has to take the form of the name curse. And I'm like, what is that about? And they always say, what is it says of the father will, all of that. I never see a dude who talks about that. He never says, oh, well, I'm going through things. I'm cursed.
I'm cursed.
I always say it. Ain't nobody in my family got a man. Well, don't put that on me.
Right.
Damn. Right. But I'll say this. Do yourself a favor. Get this book. Get it for yourself. Get it for a friend. Get it for your sister. And make sure you let everybody know it ain't what you think it is. Now, there are some parts you want to go in the room and close the door when you read it, because sometimes the curse ain't bad. It's good. Ooh, when Mina was on the train, I was on the train with Mina. I was like, let me get in that train. Wait a minute. Especially in the time of COVID, I'm like, wow.
Right. Woo. Man. We all horny in COVID. The single women are horny. We all horny.
That's going to be my book.
Raqiyah, that is a book.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'm so proud of all that you do. Anything that you need, I'm telling you, I got you. All you got to do is say it, and I'll be there for you. It's The Man Curse.
I love
you. Want to read it? I'm telling you, get into it.
Thank you. Bye, y'all.